Hello friends, so today we are going to learn about a slider crank chain. In the previous class we have completed a 4-bar chain and all the inversions of that 4-bar chain, and then we have seen that we got 3 different inversions in that 4-bar chain, right? And in this session right now we are going to check about the slider crank chain. So first let me make a diagram of this is the cylinder over here. This is the cylinder, complete thing. And then we have a link which is rotating 360 degrees. Already in that previous class we have discussed in the 4-bar chain that the smallest link will rotate 360 degrees, right? The smallest links joints are going to rotate 360 degrees. So the joints of the smallest link. Next we have a connecting rod. This is called connecting rod. Then we are going to take the slider. So this is our slider. Okay, now let me take it with normal rectangle. Yeah, so this is the slider. Done. So this is our slider crank chain in which one of the links is rotating for 360 degrees. That is why it is called a slider. And you can see that, see the joints of the smallest link. It means this is the smallest link over here, the green one. So on either sides, these two joints will have the freedom to rotate 360 degrees. And here you have a revolute joint. So this revolute joint will oscillate, right? And the slider will slide. So this is a type of chain where in previous case we have seen from this formula, right? We had a condition. The condition was we needed mobility is equal to 2 into n minus 1 minus 2j minus the higher pairs and minus the higher pair 2 times the higher pairs in pure rolling action. Then we said that we are getting into a class of mechanisms where the mobility should be equal to 1. This is a rule which we are making. And then there are no higher pairs, only lower pairs. Then we will get the equation as, sorry, this is 3, excuse me. So this is 3 into n minus 1. So then we are going to get the mobility as, yeah, so 3n minus 2j minus 4 equal to 0, or 3n minus 2j equal to 4. So this is the equation which we are going to get. So here if number of links equal to 4, so in 4-bar chain we have seen if number of links equal to 4, then number of joints automatically are going to get equal to 4. If you substitute 4 3s are 12, and then you 12 minus 4 and then divided by 2, you are going to get j is equal to 4. So j is equal to 4 means j consists of, j means it is a lower pair. So in lower pairs you have two types. One is sliding, which is called prismatic or sliding, prismatic or sliding, and its symbol is p. Its symbol is p. And then the next one is a revolute joint. A revolute joint, and its symbol is r. Revolute joints can just rotate about a fixed point, or can rotate, just rotate. And a sliding joint or prismatic is just which can slide or reciprocate. So in this we have a condition that if let's say that this is L and this is R, fine. And here you have between, let's name the link numbers. This is 1, link number 1, and then let's name the slider link number 2, and this is link number 3, and this is link number 4. Okay, we have this numbering clearly. Now between link, so now I'll just define what type of pairs are there. Between 1 and 2 means link 1 and link 2, we have sliding pair which is prismatic pair. Okay, between link 2 and link 3, link 2 and link 3 have a revolute pair. Between link 3 and link 4 you have 3. Between 3 and 4 you have a revolute pair, and between 4 and 1 you have revolute pair again. 4 and 1 a revolute pair. So total 3 revolute pairs and 1 prismatic pair. See, we in 4 bar mechanism, in 4 bar chain, it was satisfying the same condition, right? What is the condition? 3n minus 2j equal to 4. So this is the condition. So 3n minus 2j equal to 4 to have mobility equal to 1. This is the condition. So in this joint means it is prismatic plus sliding, right? Prismatic plus sliding means it is a lower pair. It is J, lower joint. So now in the first case, what we did is we used all the 4 revolute joints. So P plus R it is. So in the first case, in 4 bar chain, in 4 bar mechanism, we used all, it means 0 prismatic plus 4 revolute is equal to J, what J we used. So now in single slider crank chain, I am going to use 1 prismatic and 3 revolute. That also will give to 4, right? So now if I substitute in this, even then I am going to get mobility equal to 1. Okay, this condition is for mobility equal to 1. LHS will be equal to RHS. Fine. Number of links 4, substitute n equal to 4, substitute j equal to 4. So 4 3s are 12 minus 8 will give you 4, right? So it is going to satisfy condition. So now we are having 3 revolute and 1 prismatic pair. Here we have seen, see, 1 2 3 3 revolute and 1 prismatic pair. So which will combine to make 4 lower joints. Fine. So this is our slider crank chain. So now next, by fixing each joint, we are going to get, by fixing each link, we are going to get different inversions, right? So usually how many inversions are possible? Number of links equal to number of inversions. So here you have number of links n equal to 4. So number of inversions also should be equal to 4. Inversion means what? By fixing each different links in the same mechanism, you are going to get a different motion possible. Okay, by fixing different links, you are going to get different motion possible. So now we are going to get into the next place where we are going to define what is the first mechanism which we are going to take care of, which is reciprocating engine mechanism. Let me take you to the next page. First inversion is a reciprocating engine. Or compressor. Okay, so what do we do now? Earlier we called it a chain. You can just check, it is kinematic chain. Okay, it says slider crank chain. Why did I call it chain? Because I did not fix any link here. All the links are free to move, right? That's why we call it a slider crank chain, because it has a slider, it has a crank. R rotates for 360 degrees, right? So here we have a condition that R should be less than L. This is the condition which you should all remember. It means the length of the crank should be less than the length of the connecting rod. That is the only condition for now which we need, so that this entire link rotates for 360 degrees. Fine, the entire link will rotate for 360 degrees. The link number 4, if it needs to rotate for 360 degrees, R should be the smallest link. That is the only condition. R should be the smallest link. Don't think that the slider is smallest link. Don't think that link 2 is smallest link. Link 2 is not smallest link. Okay, see, I can just explain in the coming slide. Here, link 2, why isn't it a smallest link? Okay, you can just check it here. Just for an example, I'm going to take here a 4 bar chain, and then you will come to know what I'm trying to explain. See, this is the smallest chain in 4 bar chain. In 4 bar chain, already we have proved that the smallest link will rotate for 360 degrees, right? Already we have proved that. So just see. So this is the connecting arm, and now you have another link over here. Yes, and then we can see clearly what's happening here. The smallest link will be rotating round, 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 right? This joint and this joint can be rotated for 360 degrees, and this cannot rotate for 360 degrees. Here, if I fix the adjacent to the shortest link, what's happening? Adjacent to shortest link, if I'm going to fix, because this can rotate for 360 degrees, this crank will make a 360-degree rotation, right? But the rocker will only oscillate. Fine, the rocker will only oscillate. Now just imagine that this rocker arm, whatever is there, I am going to increase the length of the arm. Just imagine that. Okay, now we'll get into a case where I'm going to increase the rocker arm. Okay, the length of the rocker arm. Let's just try to increase it. 1 second. I'm going to increase the length of the rocker arm. Just increase the length of this rocker arm. Okay, hold on, I'm just okay. I'm going to increase the length of this rocker arm right now. See, just increase it, increase it, increase it. So I have increased it this much, for example, only this much, and I have fixed it in the at the frame, ground frame. I have fixed it here. Okay, just imagine this one. Just imagine this one. So automatically this circle radius is going to increase, right? Now this is the center, so the circle radius will increase in this manner, right? It will increase in this manner. Now you still increase the arm further more. Let it be more bigger circle. What's going to happen? It will be like almost flat, right? It will be like your earth. You can't see it spherically, right? When you are standing here, you only see that it feels to be flat. It is flat, right? Because you can't see beyond it. You can't see beyond this point. It is flat. So here also, this slider is, you can assume that it is a link with, if it is rotating, if the slider is rotating, you can say that the slider is rotating with the radius as infinity. Okay, the radius of rotation is infinite. It means the length of the link is not the shortest link. Okay, slider is not the shortest link. If you want to know the length of the slider, actually you should assume that the slider is a link which has infinite length and it is rotating about a center of infinite radius. Okay, slider is something which is a link which is rotating at, if you're assuming that it is rotating at infinite radius. It means the slider crank chain also is actually from 4-bar chain only, right? But here you are assuming that the fourth link is at is rotating at infinite, so it is good, this point is going to slide. So I'm just going to fix a slider here, and then we are making it to slide. Okay, so this is the point which I wanted to make you understand. So never think that the slider is the shortest link. So always the joints attached to the shortest link will rotate 360 degrees, right? So now this is the shortest link, so this will rotate 360, this will rotate also 360. So you'll have this circular motion, and the slider has to slide. There is no other option for the slider, right? So now let me just erase whatever we have done on the right side, and then we'll go back to our topic. Okay, our topic was that reciprocating engine, right? So again, let's draw the same diagram. See, I'll try to explain all the things with a single diagram. We are not going to change the diagram. Everything I'm going to try to explain with a single diagram so that you will understand better in a better way. Fine. So this is your cylinder, and this is your connected to that cylinder itself, and you are going to take now the crank, right? So let's take the crank. This is your crank, shortest link. Let's say that this is your shortest link, and then you have your connecting rod. Let's say this is the position of your connecting rod, and then we have our own slider. Okay, 1 second. So this is your slider done. Now, how are they connected? Kinematically, you can't change anything. It means motion wise, you can't change anything. Motion wise properly, you have to mention that you have a revolute joint here, you have a revolute joint here, and you have a revolute joint here, and you have a prismatic joint here. See, the slider will slide here. The slider will slide in the cylinder. So let's name it number 1, link number 2, link number 3, link number 4. See, numbering also sometimes you feel that it is a problem, but numbering, guys, numbering we can actually if you do in an order, it is better. You can do any way you want. You can put 1 here, 2 here, 3 here, and 4 here. Anywhere you want, you can put the numbering. But if you follow a proper order, it looks good. Okay. So now here between link 1 and link 2, you have a revolute joint. Link 1 and link 2 has prismatic joint. So this is a prismatic joint, right? 2 and 3. 2 is the blue one and 3 is the red one, right? So this is a revolute joint. Between 3 and 4, you have a, let me tell, R1, 3 and 4, second revolute joint, 4 and 1, third revolute joint. So 1 prismatic joint and 3 revolute joints. Fine, I'll write here P1 because 1, right? First prismatic joint. So if you are going to substitute this in the equation of mobility, just check it. Mobility M is equal to 3 into N minus 1 minus 2J minus H, no need of H because no higher pairs are present here. There are no higher pairs present. So 3 into number of links are 4, right? See, 4 minus 1 minus 2 into number of lower pairs. Lower pairs means prismatic pairs plus revolute pairs. So this also is equal to 4. So then you will get the mobility equal to 1. Mobility 1 is a very important thing because see, if mobility is equal to 1, the meaning is that if I know the position of one point in this link, just one point of this link, any link, if I know the position of one point of any link, I can find out the velocity, the acceleration, the position of any other point in the same link. Any other point I can find out if mobility is 1. Okay, it means what? Only one parameter is independent in this entire mechanism. Only one parameter is independent. So now what we are going to do is, for reciprocating engine, to get this in this from this chain, we are going to fix the cylinder. If we fix the cylinder, what is going to happen? Just see. If you are going to fix the cylinder, now the crank will rotate. Crank is link 4. Okay, link 4 is crank. Crank is going to rotate. So now if crank is rotating, what is happening? What is actually happening? Should we visualize it clearly? Yes, let's visualize. Crank is rotating on this circle. Okay, see, crank is rotating on this circle. The circle should be little bigger. Yes, and little. Yes, now almost looking right. Yes, the crank is rotating on this circle. Okay, little bit of this thing is there, it's okay. So the crank rotating on this circle. So if you see now, one position will check the next position how it's going to look. Okay, so the next position of crank, if you are going to check, if it is rotating anti-clockwise, if the crank is rotating anti-clockwise, listen carefully. If the crank is rotating anti-clockwise, so the new positions, let's just check what's going to happen. So the new position of crank, so you can see this is one position of the crank. For example, crank has come here. So now if it is turning here, what will happen to the link 3? Will it not push the link 3 further? Yes. See, the slider can only slide here. So now it is going to push the link 3 further. Okay, once it pushes the link 3 further, what will be the new position of the link? So maybe the link is somewhere here. Yes, new position of link. Lengths won't change. Okay, length of link can never change. So this is the new position. And what will happen to the slider? Slider will be pushed further, right? Slider will be pushed further. So the new position of slider will look, see, a little bit with some different color I'm going to show. So the new position of the slider will look in this manner. Okay, this is the new position. Now if further the crank rotates completely to the diameter, what will happen? This link will go to that other extreme position. It means it will be at the top dead center. We call it top dead center. So this is, yeah, revolute. Here also you have a revolute joint, right? So if this pink link, link number 4, comes to this position, yes, if it turns completely, so the slider will be at this end. Okay, the slider will be at this end. So that is top dead center. It's called top dead center. And here you will have what? Usually you have the firing happening here, right? The spark plug here, and then you will have the spark, and then what will happen? Immediately will push the piston forward. Once it pushes the piston forward, see, from here as link is coming down, what will happen? Just imagine one more position. See, while it is going clockwise, right, anti-clockwise, the slider is going to that corner, right? Just imagine the new position of the pink link. It means the crank over here. Just imagine this. See, imagine that it is here, the crank. So now where will the slider be? Slider will be almost in this same position where it was here. See, if it is an equal angle over here, just assume that it is an equal angle from the previous position. So immediately you can see that the slider is going to be here itself, right? It means it is going to come back. The slider is going to come back from this initial position. It's going to come back. We just imagine that it went to that corner, right, to the top dead center. Then again it is going to come back. It means while the crank is rotating again backwards, the slider is continuously going to come back, come back, come back. And just imagine that the crank is at this corner, this end. Now just imagine that your crank is at the other end. Other end means this corner. See, this corner, because crank has to come here, right? While rotating, it is going to, crank is going to continuously rotate. It is going to rotate like this. It has to rotate, rotate, rotate. Crank's new position, crank's new position, crank's new position. It will continuously rotate, and crank is going to come here. Then where is going to the red link? The red link, link number 3. The link number 3 will overlap. The link number 3 will overlap. Let me show that. See, I'll show just above. Actually, it's going to overlap. I'm showing it above because you'll get confused or else where what is happening and all. Okay, little bit closer will take. Okay, it is overlapping. Actually, this red link is overlapping on that side. And then where is the slider then? The slider will come along with it, right? The slider is going to come along with the red link. So this is the slider's position, right? And now you have different connections, right? Just show the connections, the revolute joints and all. This is the revolute joint. Here is the revolute joint, right? That's it. And this is a fixed link. Now just see, how do we calculate the stroke length here? Now what's happening here? Rotary motion is being converted into reciprocating motion if it is a reciprocating engine. If you want it to be a compressor, you fix a motor here. See, you fix a motor here, you rotate here, you rotate the crank, and then the cylinder will compress the air, right? And then you will get compressed air, right? And it will store it somewhere, and then you're going to get the compressed air. So it can be used as a compressor, or it can be used as a reciprocating engine also. If the input is given from the cylinder, then it's a reciprocating engine. The input is given at the crank, then it is a compressor. Fine. So now what are the different things here? I need to know the stroke length. I need to know stroke length. What is the stroke length? Stroke length means, you can just imagine, see, from here to this corner length, right? This will be the stroke length. Like, stroke means what? The total distance traveled by the piston, or the total distance traveled by the piston in the cylinder is stroke length. You call it S. Now, how will you find out stroke length? Stroke length can be found out by, see, just draw initial position and final position. I'm going to do a rough sketch here. I think you understood there very clearly. It is also called inline engine. Okay, inline slider crank chain. I need to draw it a straight line. Okay, straight line. And this is the slider. Fine. So two extreme positions we have to draw of the slider to know the slider. See, two extreme positions means this is your crank and this is your connecting rod. Let me draw with some other color, right? Connecting rod, let's draw with yellow. Connecting rod, they both are in the same line. For example, this is one extreme position. Fine. Yes. So cylinder, let's say that this is one extreme position. Then the next extreme position will be on the other side, right? When the crank is turning in this manner and it's coming to this extreme position. Fine. And let's take the connecting rod yellow itself. So the yellow is on the same line, but I'm drawing little above, and maybe you are getting the slider to be here, right? The slider is here. So we want this distance. This is the stroke length. It cannot go, slider cannot go more behind. Okay. Again, as it is coming up here, as it is coming up again it's going to push it front, push the slider front. So this is the maximum distance it can travel. Now how to find out this? Let's say that this is L and this is R. Okay. Crank length is R and L is the length of the connecting rod. Now here, can I find out, see this distance, guys, first extreme position, I think from here to here, this distance is very easy to find out. It's L plus R, right? L plus R, first extreme position, this red plus connecting rod length. Fine. So this, and then what else can we find out here? Just see. Here if you see, so L plus R minus of this, can I get stroke length? Yes. What is minus of this? This length. So this length is piston is here, right? See piston's next extreme position here. So total length from here to here is, total length from here to here, this total length from here to here is L, right? Because length of yellow link is overlapping, see that side. And then from here to here, this length is R, right? R, because this is the crank on the other side. So I can say this length is L minus R. L minus R. Now tell me, what is the stroke length? If you see this L plus R minus of L minus R. So stroke length will be S is equal to L plus R, this one, this total minus of this, I'll get stroke length, minus of L minus R. This way we derived that stroke length is equal to L gets cancelled and the answer is 2R. It means 2 times the crank radius is the stroke length. 2 times the crank radius is the stroke length for inline slider crank chain. You call it inline slider crank chain or linkage. It is an inline slider crank linkage. Better to call it a linkage than a chain. Let me call it a linkage. Okay. Linkage. What is a linkage? Linkage is when you have all the pairs as lower pairs and it is a closed chain. Okay, closed. It means first link is connected to the last link. Okay, closed chain. So this is you even derived for stroke length. You call, let me write down here. Stroke length. Fine. So this is your slider crank chain. This is the first inversion. Okay, because I fixed the cylinder. This is the first inversion. First inversion of what? Of, go to the previous slide, of single slider crank chain or slider crank chain. Okay, because it is a single slider, that's why I'm calling it single slider crank chain. Fine. Okay, now next, let's discuss the next inversion. Now the second inversion, inversion 2. So this is an oscillating cylinder engine mechanism. Okay, oscillating cylinder engine mechanism. So in this oscillating cylinder engine mechanism, what is going to happen? Again, we are not going to change anything. I'm going to do the same thing. Okay, because we made a statement earlier. What was it? With the same mechanism, with the same chain, I am going to show you different mechanisms happening. Okay, this entire thing is a single unit. Okay, don't get confused that these both are different, the cylinder and this line which I'm drawing. And next we are going to take our crank. Fine. Yeah. And then next we are going to take our connecting rod. See, the only thing now is I need to fix some other link, right? I should not be fixing the cylinder now. That is the only rule which I need to follow. I need to fix some other link to get a mechanism. So this is your slider. Fine. Yeah, done. And now I'm going to show all revolute joints and where prismatic joints are. See here one revolute, here another revolute, here another revolute, and you know where prismatic is, right? So now I need to fix some other link. So which can, what are the which links joints can rotate 360 degrees? The shortest link joint can rotate 360 degrees, and which is the shortest link? The pink link is the shortest link. We have to remember one thing, that this pink link is the shortest link. Fine. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to fix the connecting rod itself. Now I am going to fix the connecting rod itself, completely fixed connecting rod, but these joints can rotate. Now what will we say? The link, the joints near the shortest link, it means this joint and this joint can rotate 360 degrees. Earlier we fixed the cylinder, so about cylinder this complete link, pink link has rotated. So now what should happen? Now what should happen is about this pink link, about this red link, the pink link should rotate, right? Because it is also 360-degree joint, right? It can rotate for 360 degrees. So now we are going to mention it clearly. You see now how it is going to rotate. I'm going to trace the path of rotation about this center. Now this should rotate completely, right, for 360 degrees. Is it looking? Yeah. So now you trace the path and just imagine, don't just mug up or study, trace the path and imagine. Okay, let's say that the pink link has rotated anti-clockwise, right? Pink link is rotating anti-clockwise upwards. Let's say that the link is rotating anti-clockwise. Let's imagine a new position. Okay, new position of the link. Say that the pink link has come from here to the new position, which is this one. Okay, let's say this one. So I'm going to take the new position. This is the new position of the pink link. Fine. Now what is going to happen to this yellow link? Yellow link has to be pulled right upwards. Yellow link has to be pulled upwards. There is no other choice. There is no other choice for the yellow link, but it has to be pulled upwards. When the yellow link is being pulled upwards, what will happen? The slider is going to slide inside, but it will be there itself. See, slider cannot go there and here because it is fixed with the red link, but slider can rotate. See, you have a rotatable joint between the slider and the red link. You have a rotatable joint, right? So it can rotate as well as slide inside the yellow link. So let's imagine the new position. Okay, the new position of the link. Let's say that. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's draw a proper position so that we can easily visualize. So I'm going to take a horizontal position for better visualization, right? You can take any position. And now I'm going to take, where will the yellow link come? Yellow link has come here, right? So yellow link has come here, and then you are going to have about the same position, but the slider is going to slide and it's going to pull the cylinder a little upwards, right? And little bit of turning also will happen for the slider. Just follow what I'm explaining. Automatically you'll understand without any confusions. Okay. Yes. So this is the new position of the slider. This is the new position of the slider. Of course, it will be attached and properly. Slider is properly. It is not in this angle. Fine. Okay. Hold on. Let me try to draw it. Right. Yes. So now here your piston also is going to rotate. It is not going to be in this order. I'll draw with some other color the piston. You will have, see this position of the piston now. Right. I think now you can, while it is sliding automatically it's going to tilt and it's going to tilt the cylinder, and still further if you are going to rotate it upwards, what will happen? Further it will tilt the cylinder and again it will push the cylinder front. So the cylinder will actually oscillate about this point itself. About this piston center, the cylinder is going to oscillate while it is going front and back. Okay, that's why it's called oscillating cylinder engine mechanism. Okay, from this position it has come up. I think you could visualize what's happening, and then it will go further front, right? And then again it is going to push it back. It is going to push it back, and the extreme position mostly will be in this line itself. See this at this point you'll have an extreme position of the cylinder piston coming. After that again it will start pushing back. Fine, it will start pushing back because see these all will be in line at this position, at this red position itself. Okay, everything be in one line. See, I'll show you that position. Just in line diagram, let's see. Okay, this is your, yeah, pink link. First we need to draw the pink link which came up. Okay, pink link has come here in the same line. Now the yellow link, see, I'll just draw besides it. Actually it's overlapping. Okay, yellow link will overlap, okay, till here. Fine, completely it has pulled it up, and then you will have this point here, and then you are going to have, this is the edge, and after this it cannot further go up. Okay, it has only option to go down. Fine, it has completely taken over. See, and now the next position will be, it will push it down. It will push the yellow link down. The pink link will push the yellow link down, and it will oscillate. Okay, so it will be like this. See, first position of the cylinder this way, then the next position of the cylinder this way, and the next position of the cylinder this way, and then after that again it will start moving back. Fine, maybe this is the, see, let's say that this is the extreme position of the cylinder. This is the extreme position of the cylinder. Again it will start coming back, this position, this position, this position, again coming back, and then it is going to go in this direction also, cylinder. Fine, so this is called oscillating cylinder. You have very good animations online, you can just check it out. For any confusions regarding how the oscillating cylinder engine works, fine, so this is the explanation. And which link are we fixing? We are going to fix the connecting rod itself for oscillating cylinder mechanism. Okay, so let's go to the next inversion. So this is inversion number 3, right? We have just completed second inversion. So according to inversion number 3, let's again draw our basic diagram, which we have been drawing from long time, right? So see, this is your cylinder, extension to the cylinder, and then you have your crank, which is fixed here, crank. Fine, and then you have the connecting rod, and then you have the slider which is sliding inside. And now you have all the revolute joints, 1 revolute, 2 revolute, and 3 revolute, R1, R2, R3. And then here you have prismatic, 1 prismatic pair. Okay, between each and every link you have a pair. Okay, between 1 and 2, see 1 and 2, let's take similar colors. See, 1, 2, 3, and 4. See, between 1 and 2 you have prismatic joint, between 2 and 3 you have revolute joint, between 3 and 4 you have revolute joint, between 4 and 1 you have revolute joint. Whichever is turning, you call it revolute joint. So now what we are going to do is, we are going to fix the shortest link, because 1 is already over, 3 also over. Now our choice is to fix the shortest link. If I'm going to fix the shortest link, what is the rule? Either sides of the shortest link, it means joints to the shortest links, can rotate 360 degrees, right? So what is the meaning of it? The meaning of it is that now third link number 3 also can rotate complete 360 degrees about this fourth link, and link number 1 also can rotate for complete 360 degrees. Fine, so that is the logic. So now can we trace it? Actually, the tracing path, I'll try to trace the path. I think the space won't be sufficient to trace the path properly. It's an ellipse, and yeah, about the center. Oh my god, we are not getting the point. Hold on, let me try once again. See, that is the center. So I should move more to the center. Right, about that center, I need this rotation. Yes, yeah, yes, almost, right? So this is link number 3's rotation point about the center of the circle. So it's still not looking the center, right? Now is it center of the circle? Yeah, almost. It looks as if it is the center of the circle. Yeah, yes. Now I need another link, which is link number 1, also rotating in complete circle, right? Link 1. So link 1, how will it rotate? So just take that extreme position and then you can trace it, right? I'm going to take some other color for link 1. Let's take a white circle, right? For link 1. So where is the center of link 1? This is the point on the other side of the fourth link. So it's going to be a very, very big circle. Let's see if we are able to trace that circle on this space. Yeah, I think we were able to trace, right? Yes, the position of the first link, this end. Okay, it is also moving, going to move in circle. This is also link 3 also is going to move to in a circle. So this is the third inversion, and this is called Whitworth Whitworth quick return mechanism. So this is called what? Whitworth quick return mechanism. So here the both the cylinder as well as the slider, both the cylinder as well as the slider are rotating. This is called Whitworth mechanism. It is a quick return mechanism. Okay. So now here this is a quick return mechanism. Now how do I know that it's a quick return mechanism? Okay, how do I know that it's a quick return mechanism? Just imagine that we are going to fix a motor. We are going to fix a motor at this corner. See, I'm darkening this corner. We are going to fix a motor at this corner. And let's imagine that this is rotating. This is rotating at constant angular velocity. It is rotating at constant angular velocity in the clockwise direction. Okay, it means with omega, it's going to rotate. Let me write omega on the other side. With omega, this red link number 3 is going to rotate. Fine. So now this is one of the extreme positions of the cylinder, right? Now the other extreme position of cylinder, where you get one extreme position is with you are going to get with respect to this position, right? Wherever you see this is one of the extreme positions. So other extreme position, where are you going to get? We are going to actually, to have a better visualization, the same diagram I am going to draw it in the next page for calculations. Okay, so this will make complete rotation. So see, this will rotate with omega, this will also rotate, okay, with some angular velocity, we don't know what, but these both will rotate about their own respective circles. That's what you have to know for now. Okay, now we are go into the actual concept, where we are going to derive the equation for quick return mechanism in this case. Fine. This is the shortest link, right? The smallest link. I have just drawn it in a vertical fashion. Fine. We fixed it in this fashion. And now I'm going to draw the cylinder, which you have already seen in the horizontal position. We are going to make it. Fine. See, you can make in any position you want, but we are checking for the easiest position which is possible for calculations. Okay. And this is the what your extension of the cylinder itself. Fine. And now we are going to draw the connecting rod. So see, this is the connecting rod. And now you have the slider, our favorite slider, right? Yeah. So this is the slider inside this link, which is connected with the revolute joint, right? At different points. See, revolute, 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 and then we have the pink link fixed, and then we had two circles, right? Let's draw the circles also according to the colors, so that it will be easy to identify. So let me say that the red link is rotating on the red circle, right? The red link is rotating about the red circle, and the center of rotation is the end of red link itself about the fixed point. Okay, so I think this is looking pretty center, pretty much like your center. Yes or no? Yeah. Yes, almost center. Fine. Now the yellow link also is rotating about a circle, but the center is different. Yellow end you check for the circle end. Okay, so this is the circle about which yellow link will be rotating. And now let's adjust the center. Yes, yes, yeah. So now let's check for the two extreme positions. Okay, this is one of the extreme position which is on the left side. Now while it is rotating, because these both are rotating, right, they are not going to be stationary. Fine, so the red link will be rotating in this manner. At the same time, the yellow link will be rotating in this direction, right? Same time they both will be rotating. So now this is rotating with angular velocity omega. The red link is rotating with angular velocity omega. So the new position of red link, let me give uh, with a dotted. Fine. Right now we will just draw a line, and then I'll try to make it a dotted line. Fine. This is another position on the same line. Fine. On the same line, let's take this, and then we have the our yellow link. Fine. And then we have our slotted. This is actually the cylinder. Cylinder also is called as slotted link. Okay. Cylinder is also called as your slotted link. Let's say this is your cylinder. It is actually the same length. The length is not changed. Fine. It's looking a little different, but actually nothing has changed because it has to rotate about the same circle, right? Fine. Now we have our slider also on the other position. So here is the slider. Fine. So now what am I going to do here? Just check it. Revolute joint here, and then sliding and everything. So now what we are going to do is we want to check the angle which is turned. See, from here to here, the red link is turning an angle, right? From here to here, right? The angle turned by red link from here to here, is it similar to the angle turned from the other position? Okay, before that, uh, you just tell me. We'll write down the alphabets. Let's say that it is A, this position of the slider is B, and the center is C, let's say. Okay, and it is A, and this position is B dash, and this position is yeah, similar C. So now you just imagine and let me know, while it is rotating from A, B, C to A, B dash, A, B dash. Fine. About C it is rotating. Fine. I'm just going to remove the C. I'm going to write a sentence. Rotation about C. Okay, it is rotation about C from AB to AB dash, and that too it is clockwise. Clockwise. Fine. This is what I have written. So now tell me the distance traveled by BC to BC to C B dash. It means this distance. Fine. I'll say from B to B dash while it's traveling. Okay. Distance traveled from B to B dash, that too clockwise. Clockwise. Is it same from distance traveled from B dash to B? Is it same? Just tell me. Is this distance same, or is it equal to distance traveled from B dash to B clockwise? So it is not equal. Fine. So now I need to find out that angle. It means the angular distance, right? Distance, yeah, you can find from the angles itself. So first my idea is we can find out this angle, guys. See, this angle is very easy to find out. See this angle, this angle. Okay, we call total angle as alpha. So I'll call this angle as alpha by 2. Fine. The total angle means from this red position to that red position. Internally, the angle is alpha. And this external angle, I can say 2 pi minus alpha. It means 360 degrees minus this alpha will give me the external angle. Fine. The total is alpha. So now I have the link length L. If we have the link length L, fine. If I have the distance between the fixed centers, this is called the distance between the fixed centers, which is R. right? It is the radius, right? The smallest link, two joints are completely rotable. So this is R. So if I know L and R, if I know these both things, can I find out anything? Yes, I can do. Cos alpha by 2 is equal to, so just check it here. Cos alpha by 2 is equal to adjacent by hypotenuse, because this is 90 degrees. That's why I have drawn it horizontal and vertical. Okay, horizontal yellow and vertical pink. That's why this is the easiest configuration to find out. From this I can find out alpha, right? So alpha will be 2 times cos inverse R by L. It means length of the crank, okay, which is fixed. Actually, in this case, you have double crank. Like BC also is a crank, and A and this complete yellow link also is a crank. Okay, you can call it distance between fixed centers. Okay, which is R and by L. So from here you'll get alpha. After you get alpha, okay, sir, I have got alpha. Now what to do? So you have angular displacement alpha, right? Yes. Now angular displacement alpha, angular displacement by time will give you angular velocity, right? Omega. Fine. Angular displacement by time will give you angular velocity omega. It means alpha by time is equal to omega. So what is this alpha? Alpha is while it is the time taken from B dash to B, while the distance is traveled from B dash to B, right? From here to here. Fine. So time taken to travel from B dash to B is equal to alpha by omega. That is time taken. Now then what is time taken to travel from B to B dash? That is to clockwise. No, this is all are clockwise. B to B dash is equal to 2 pi minus alpha is angular distance, 2 pi minus alpha angular displacement divided by angular velocity omega. And omega is actually constant. Omega is constant. Fine. See, as this link, see, as the yellow link rotates from, let's say this new point is D to D dash. As this yellow link rotates from D to D dash, fine. That time, at the same time, you have the red link rotate from B to B dash. Fine. Is it the same angle traveled? See, I will write down here. I'll write down here. From D to D dash clockwise, I traveled an angle of pi. But at the same time, in the same time, from B to B dash clockwise, the angle turned is 2 pi minus alpha. It is not the same. Okay, the angle is different. It means, see, you can see that 2 pi minus alpha will take more time than alpha, right? 2 pi minus alpha will take more time than alpha. It means forward stroke. See, you can see 2 pi minus alpha and alpha here. So the forward stroke, it means D is coming from D to D dash. So this is the forward stroke. From D dash to D, it is the return stroke, because when it's going from D dash to D, the link, red link is going from B dash to B. Okay, forward and return strokes, those are. So here I can say that from this equation, time taken for from B to B dash divided by time taken from B dash to B is equal to 2 pi minus alpha divided by alpha by omega. Omega gets cancelled. 2 pi minus alpha by alpha. So this is your quick return ratio. This is quick return ratio. Usually we are going to be asked in the exams or competitive exams that what is the quick return ratio of Whitworth quick return mechanism. The distance between the fixed centers, which is R, will be given, and the connecting rod length will be given, L will be given. Okay, they will ask you quick return ratio. Immediately do cos alpha by 2 is equal to adjacent by hypotenuse. It means distance between the fixed centers divided by the connecting rod length, and then multiply it with 2 as we did here. Just check here, find out alpha from here, then substitute the alpha here. Immediately you are going to get the quick return ratio answer. It means, for example, you got quick return ratio. This is just an example. Just carefully listen. For example, you got if you got QRR equal to 2. The meaning is that, see, forward stroke by return stroke. This is what? Forward stroke by return stroke is equal to 2. It means forward stroke will be taking 2 times the time of return stroke. Okay, if if the return stroke, see, if return stroke is equal to 2 seconds. Now, can you tell me what forward stroke is? Just put in return stroke 2 seconds. You will get forward stroke as 4 seconds, right? Forward stroke. It means while the operation is taking place. Okay, while usually cutting operations and all, you need quick return ratio. This is not used in cutting operations and all. Whitworth quick return mechanism is not used in any machine. Okay, it was used in aeroplanes. It was used in aeroplanes before the gas turbines were properly in function. Okay, that much of efficiency. And before gas turbines, this mechanism was used in aeroplanes. Okay, in aeroplanes, fine. So usually what is the quick return ratio? It means forward stroke is 2 times the return stroke. While forward stroke we need actual action, return stroke no action is needed. See, usually what you have a cutting tool, yes, and it's getting machined. This is the object, cutting tool, machine getting machined. So what will happen? While forward stroke only it will cut, while return stroke it won't cut. So while forward stroke it is taking 4 seconds, but return stroke no cutting, right? Why to waste the time? So your machining time is getting wasted. So return stroke you won't have cutting action, so return will be fast. Again forward stroke 4 seconds, return fast. So that is the matter. Okay, then sir, what is the application of this? So this mechanism is used in aeroplanes. How is it used? See, I'll show you right now how it is used. See, this is, I showed you only one cylinder, two positions, right? Usually there is no one cylinder. There are number of cylinders like this. For one cylinder, I showed you so that you could understand each and everything. So there are number of cylinders. See, this is one more cylinder. This is one more cylinder. And on top, you have another cylinder. On top, you have another cylinder. Number of cylinders, almost six, 7 cylinders are present, right? So this is another cylinder now, what you are seeing here. So another cylinder, and then you have the sliders. So this where is the correcting arm? Okay, over here. So the slider is on this red circle only, right? The slider has to move on the red circle, right? So the slider has to move on the red circle. So this is the position of slider. Here the slider has to move on the red circle. Here this is the position of the slider, and then you have the connecting rod. See this, from here, from this center only you have connecting rod, right? So this is the position of the connecting rod, and then from this center you have connecting rod, right? So this is the position of connecting rod, and you have no, you have 1 2 3 4 more like this. Okay, in this direction and this direction. I'm not drawing all those things, but you have this type of mechanism. Fine, you have this type of mechanism where you have all the cylinders and pistons lined up. So this is called a rotary engine. Fine, this is called a rotary engine. This is called a rotary engine also. So I'll just write it down here, rotary. Let's use some other color so that you can distinguish it from the entire diagram. So let me use red. So it is a rotary or GNOME engine. It was used in aeroplanes. So this mechanism is used in rotary or GNOME engines. And the only condition here is what? R should be less than L and crank is fixed. Crank is fixed. So this is another inversion of your single slider crank chain. But here you're using number of connecting rods and number of sliders. Fine. Crank and slider, number of sliders are used here. Done. And you have after this a final inversion. Okay, in this crank and slider mechanism, you actually have more than 3. In a 4-bar mechanism, you had only 3 inversions, right? Because one was same, like if you fix adjacent to shortest link on this side also you got crank and rocker, on the other side also you got crank and rocker. It means adjacent to shortest link. But here if you fix adjacent to shortest link, first you got, see, adjacent to shortest link, first what did you get? Come to first case, adjacent to shortest link. So this is 4 is shortest link. Adjacent to shortest link you got reciprocating engine, right? And this is also adjacent to shortest link, you got oscillating cylinder, right? So and then this is your Whitworth quick return mechanism, which is also called rotary engine or GNOME engine, which is clearly explained here. The complete derivation is given. Find how to find out the quick return ratio, how to find out alpha. And next we are going to get into the final inversion. We'll do a little differently. Let me actually first draw the diagram. You yourself will tell me what mechanism this is. Okay. You people will itself tell me what the mechanism is. Fine. Let's play a small game. So this is our connecting rod. Sorry, this is our crank. And then we have the connecting rod here. And our favorite slider is also waiting for us, right? Where is the slider to be placed? The slider to be placed here. Okay, so now what is the different thing here? What all did we fix till now? Can you remember what are the different things we fixed it till now? Yes, already we fixed the cylinder, done. Okay, let's give the link numbers also, right? Link number of one already I fixed, it is done, right? Link 2 is not yet fixed. Link 2 is not yet fixed. Link 3 is already fixed. We already fixed and checked. We got oscillating cylinder mechanism, right? And link 4 also already fixed. We got Whitworth quick return mechanism. And we are now waiting to fix which one? Link 2. So revolute, revolute, revolute. And here you have sliding. Okay, two sides. So now I'm going to fix link 2. So if we are going to fix the link 2, see, I'm going to fix the link 2. What is going to happen if we fix the link 2? If we are going to fix the link 2 itself, still 3 can rotate, right? 3 can rotate, 3 can rotate. Now, here, for example, link number 3 is rotating from its position about 2. About 2 it can rotate because 2 is fixed. You can see 2 is fixed. 2 is not having any motion. 2 is completely fixed. Fine. So now we are going to do what? We are going to do check for the motion of the this one. For example, this has come from here to here. Okay, let's make a circular motion itself, right? So that it won't completely rotate circle because this link number 3 is not 360-degree rotatable joint. Okay, this can only rotate about some positions. So I'm going to try to draw a dull circle. One minute. Give me 1 minute, guys. I'm just removing it off. This one, red one. Okay, now I'm going to draw a circle of white color, but actually the link is not going to go complete circle. Okay, remember the link is not going to go complete circle because it's not the shortest link's adjacent side. Just remember that one point, then it will be easy for you all to visualize. So now see, yeah, almost it looks like the center, right? This is the center, right? Yes, this is the center. Actually the slider cannot go anywhere. The slider should remain there itself because slider is fixed. Now, when the red link rotates from third position to this position where it is in the line of the yellow link, just check that. Okay, the new position of a red link. Let's try the new position of red link right now. Yes. So this is the new position of red link. I'm just drawing it. It should actually overlap. I'm just drawing it a little bit up. Okay. And then let's make it a little hatchy. Hatchy, hatchy. Okay. Let's make it a little hatchy, hatchy. Yes. Hatch it, hatch it, hatch it, so that you can differentiate between actual one and the positions which we are trying to show. Yes, it's looking hatching. Yeah. Yes, now it's looking good. Fine. So now where will the pink link go then? Will the pink link compress? Will the pink link compress? Because see, this yellow link cannot rotate. Can the yellow link rotate? No, because the slider is fixed. Slider is fixed. It means slider should be in the same horizontal position. It cannot move anywhere. So a slider won't allow this yellow link, which is the cylinder, to turn. So what will happen? What will happen is, will the link 4 compress? No. The while it is coming up, see, while it is coming up like this, while while it is rotating, what will happen? It will push the pink link upwards, but in a straight line. It will push the link upwards in a straight line because yellow link is not allowed to turn. Link 4 has to go in a straight line. Okay, let me draw even the yellow link's straight line. Yellow link also has to move in a straight line because yellow link also has no other choice. Yellow link has no other choice but to move in a straight line. So as the pink link is coming, as the red link is rotating, and as the red link has come to the new position, where is the new position? Actually, I drew it too high, right? So one second, or else it will be difficult for you people to visualize. Only till that circle end only, this red circle is okay. The red circle is only till the circle end. It cannot move beyond it. But the pink circle will come here along with the red circle and moving. Just imagine it like a ladder. See, pink circle is a ladder and this is a curved surface. On the ladder, on the curved surface, it is slipping, and on the yellow side, yellow floor. Let's assume that on the ladder, yellow is the floor, white circle is the curved surface. So you pull the ladder upwards. Until you pull the ladder on the horizontal surface, in which direction? See, in this direction, pull the ladder. Pull the ladder. I'll show you the direction. Pull the ladder in this direction. Pull the ladder. It means the pink one. Pink one. Pull the pink one in the direction. Pull the pink one in this direction. So automatically the pink link will go in a straight line, right? It's going to become a straight line along with the red link because it is the diameter of that circle. Fine. So the pink one will be a straight line. Let me draw the straight line. And from here to here, let's say that length won't change. Okay, with the same length. See, let's say that it has come to the new position. This is the new position. Fine. And what will happen to the yellow link? Yellow link will be pulled up, right? See, if this pink link is going up, pink link is fixed with the first link with the pink link is fixed to the yellow link with the revolute joint, right? It will pull the yellow link upwards. The new position of yellow link also I'm going to show right now. The yellow link will be pulled upwards. The yellow link will be pulled upwards, right? Till here it is being pulled upwards. Okay, I'm drawing it a little smaller so that you can understand. It will be pulled upwards and it is again connected to even this revolute joint, right? Is it connected or not? Yes, where is it connected? See here, I'm actually, it will overlap. It will overlap, but I'm going to draw a little bit sideways so that you can see, you can visualize it clearly. Fine. So this is the joint and I'll make a dotted, it's better to make dotted lines, right? So that you won't get further confusions. So here, see these new positions of cylinder also I am hatching the new positions of cylinder. We'll hatch the new position of this pink link also, okay? Everything will be hatched so that you will clearly understand the first position and the final position. So what is happening? Can anyone guess what mechanism is this? Cylinder is coming up, cylinder is coming down. What mechanism is this? This is a hand pump mechanism, but in a horizontal way I have drawn it because we are not changing any configuration to show you people, okay, that it is the same mechanism. Fine. This is actually the hand pump mechanism. Hand pump mechanism. Okay. So this is the new position of everything. And I'm going to erase this. Fine. So the cylinder will come up, cylinder will come down, cylinder will come up, cylinder will come down. And this fourth link will come up and the fourth link will come to the other side also. The fourth link will come to the other side also. See, the fourth link can come till here. Here. That time what will happen? The red link will be there itself. See, this will be the other position. Yes. And then again, it will go to the other side. It won't go around. Again, it will go to the other side. Again, it will start climbing up. It means the pink link will go like ladder. On the yellow, it will go up. And again, it will go to that side. Then again, it will come up. Again, it will come to this side. This is the actual motion of the mechanism. And this is called what? Your hand pump. Hand pump. And it is the fourth inversion. It is the fourth inversion. And actually in real case scenario, how are you going to look at this mechanism? See, this is the way you are going to see the same mechanism. Kinematically, what we do is, see, kinematically you can change some things, right? So what I'm going to do is, instead of this piston, see, between 2 and 1 we need sliding, right? Between 2 and 1, what the rule is, between 2 and 1 I need sliding. So see, I'm going to do between 2 and 1 sliding. 2 is your color. What is your color? Yeah, blue. So right, so this is second link. Yes, in the second link, what I have done a small change. Instead of piston, what I have done is I have made it a cylinder. See, in the end, kinematically it should be equal. That's it. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to fix it. See, 2 is fixed and I'm going to fix this. Okay. I'm going to fix it. And yellow link, what was there? Yellow link is actually a cylinder, right? Now yellow link I'm going to make the piston. See, in the end, the rule was what? Between 2 and 3. See, after I complete the diagram, you are going to understand each and everything. Fine. So don't worry. Don't worry at all. See, this that's why I'm talking about kinematically equivalent diagram. This is kinematically equivalent means motion wise it is same. Shape wise it can be anything, but motion wise it's same. Fine. And then you have the connecting rod, right? Link number 3 with the yellow. This is your connecting rod, yellow link. And then you had a pink link, right? So see how I'm going to change the pink link. Pink link. Fine. Now just see what are the different things we are going to do. Fine. After I give numbering, na, everything will be clear to you. Nothing has changed. Everything is same. You will say, sir, everything is same. Nothing has changed. That's what you are going to say. 1 second. Hold on. I need to do some changes. Okay. Fine. And now we will give it what? We want to give it yes. So now guys, just see what was our link. This was link number 2, and the red one was link number 3. You just see if anything has changed. Let me know. Okay, in comment section you can let me know if anything has changed from it. And what was this? Slider was link 1, so this is link 1, and pink was link 4, right? Yeah, link 4. Yes, and there was revolute joint. There are revolute joints everywhere between 3 and 4, between 1 and 4, and yeah, that's it. Here also one revolute joint, and this is sliding. Now guys, kinematically speaking, see, fixed link you can make it anyhow you want. Fixed link, I just made it a frame, a cylinder. And now between link 2 and 1, main in this diagram, check and tell me. Between 2 and 1, see, this 1 is cylinder, 2 is piston. Was it a sliding pair between? See, just check this diagram first on the top diagram. Between 1 and 2, I have prismatic pair P. Okay. Between 2 and 3, I have revolute pair, right? 2 and 3 means this blue one and this red one, revolute. Between red and pink, 3 and 4, revolute. Between 4 and 1, was it revolute here? Yes. Between 4 and 1, it is also revolute, right? So now check in this second diagram. Check in the second diagram. Between 1 and 2, is it prismatic still? Yes, this is 1, this is 2. Still prismatic. Done. Between 2 and 3, is it revolute still? Yes, it is connected and it is revolute. Between 3 and 4, is it revolute? Yes. Between 4 and 1, is it revolute? Yes. So nothing has changed. Kinematically, this and this both are same. Kinematically speaking, these both are same. Okay, here you will give motion, oscillatory motion. So this pink will go up. Yeah, as the pink goes up, the slider is pulled down. As the pink goes down in the straight line, in the same straight line, the yellow link is going to go down, and then it's going to pull water from the ground, and then it is going to pour water outside the tap, right? Tap or whatever outlet. Fine. And then you are going to place a bucket here and you're going to fill it. Okay guys, thank you. I hope you understood and enjoyed the video. If you have enjoyed all the inversions which were elaborately explained, kindly like, subscribe, and click the bell icon for further notifications. I'm going to put all the videos of kinematics of machines, and mostly we'll continue with dynamics also in the next coming videos. Thank you everyone. See you in the next lecture.